If you crush a single lemon myrtle leaf in your hand and take a deep breath, you will be experiencing one of the most signature aromas of Australia. This plant has long been prized by Australia's First Nations peoples as a culinary and also medicinal herb, but now it is beloved by chefs, home cooks, and gardeners alike. Later for how to cook and use this amazing plant, but first up, let's start gardening. In the garden, this plant has many benefits. It is a beneficial insect attracting plant. It provides welcome habitat for visitors to your garden and is a good pollinator attractor. It's beautiful. It has flushes of cream flowers in spring and summer. You experience a lovely scent as you brush past the leaves in the garden, and also the flowers have a strong aroma of honey. And then when the flowers are gone, you are left with these pretty seed pods that are equally pretty. Some people cut them off, but I leave them because I find them attractive. And the leaves are glossy and green. It can be grown as a standard tree. In warmer climates, it can grow to a very large tree, 5 to 10 metres. In a cool climate like mine, it would have trouble getting established. It would be hammered by the frost. The lemon myrtle is not native to my cool environment. They're much more of a temperate plant. They don't like frosts, although you can get away with storing it outdoors in a warm, sheltered, sunny position. Lemon myrtle grows best in a rich, loamy soil, well drained but not boggy. Think rainforest. It grows very well in a container, but you will need to repot it every 2 to 3 years, and it responds well to pruning in a pot. So I've got 2 lemon myrtle. Both of them are in pots. They're pretty happy where they are. They've got lots of new growth, but I thought I will step up mine into a slightly bigger pot size. If you don't have a bigger pot size, you'll need to trim the roots a little to put it back in the same pot. But for me, I'm just giving it a bit of a boost for transplanting. Give it a water. This has been in this pot for well over a year. It's been heavily used for teas and things, so it's kept very small on that account. See if I can tip it enough to release it from the pot. Yes, it's a little over, quite pot bound. Yeah, so lightly pull the roots out, not too much. I think it's fairly forgiving. Put some soil in. Give it a good watering. For fertilising, Australian natives don't tend to love fertilisers high in phosphate, so be a bit cautious if you're thinking your plant needs some fertilising. I don't tend to do much. I use a bit of worm juice here and there, watered down always. Occasionally blood and bone is good, except I avoid using that in my garden because my dogs get into it. It's terrible. Yeah, basically I'm a compost, worm juice, a little bit of seaweed, sometimes some fertiliser based on fish. This will go back on my front veranda, which is a sheltered, full sun and frost-free position over the winter. I have a whole heap of plants sitting there as refugees from the frost. Because this plant responds so well to pruning, it can be used as a hedge plant. You plant them about 1 metre apart, and it can be trimmed down to 1.5 to 2 metres and makes a beautiful hedge with its dark glossy green leaves and its flowers. This is not possible in my cool climate. It's just way too frosty and cold for this plant to be out of shelter in the winter months. So always cut back to something when pruning. That's the secret. And just to make this a little prettier, I'm going to take this bit off here. And that's it for the moment, because I like to keep it on the plant and prune it as I need it. Most nurseries in Australia readily sell this plant. You can buy small tube stock through to well advanced plants. But this plant is very easy to grow by cutting, but you do need to ensure that the plant has a good warm environment to grow, and also it requires humidity, so some sort of glass top to keep the moisture in You go for about a 15 centimetre stalk, take off the leaves at the bottom and put in about halfway, keep the soil moist and put the humidity over the top. I have read that this plant has taken off in a lot of Southeast Asian countries because it grows very well in that tropical, semi-tropical climate. The way that it is propagated in those countries is via cutting, because it is actually quite a difficult plant to propagate by seed, as with a lot of Australian natives. So not too hard to propagate if you get its conditions right. The best thing about lemon myrtle is its aroma and flavour. It is considered one of the finest lemon-scented herbs in the world. For cooking, it adds that lemony flavour, but without acidity. I would liken it to lemongrass and perhaps a bit of lemon zest peel in its flavour profile. It goes wonderfully with fish and is a great base flavour for a dessert. One of my favourite stories about this plant is that during the Second World War there was a shortage of lemons in Australia, and a lemonade company called Tarix substituted the lemon for lemon myrtle and produced a whole bunch of lemonade made from lemon myrtle, and it was apparently shipped to the Australian troops in the Pacific region. I don't think that flavour lasted long after the war, but what a shame. They should have kept going on it, and who knows, it might have taken off at that stage. It really wasn't until about the 1990s when Australians started to take notice of the plant, and then I think on the world stage, Jamie Oliver and a few others started including it in their cooking. I think the thing to note about the cooking of this herb is that it is lemony lemon, but without the tart. But it's an interesting kind of flavour, but it's not sweet either. The closest lemony flavour I think I would consider is lemongrass. This has got about 90% citral, whereas I think lemongrass is about 60 to 70%. And I think lemons are about 5%, so it's got this high lemon concentrate flavour. Cheers, this is really very nice. I'm addicted to it. I've made about 3 batches already. For the best flavour of lemon myrtle, crush the leaves first, and the longer you steep the leaves in the mixture, the more lemon myrtle forward it becomes. The plant can be harvested all year round. For harvesting, avoid stripping the plant of more than a third of its foliage. I in fact prefer to make strategic cuts and rather than plucking leaves off the plant. And the more you actually prune it down, the more leaves you get over time. The edible parts of the plant are the leaves, seeds and flowers. It's not recommended to use the sticks of the plant. Just say when you're pruning you get these sticks. The oils within the sticks are too strong and would taint the flavour of the food you're trying to cook with. Use all the prunings in teas and biscuits, and you can make ice cream and also flavour some of your meats. So it is a plant well worth having in the garden as an evergreen plant. You can harvest it all year round. For the bigger, healthier leaves, they have the most flavour, although the young leaves are more subtle and can be used in other ways. A lot of people think the lemon myrtle is a form of citrus plant, but it has no relationship with citrus. It's actually of the eucalypt family. The advantage of it not being a citrus is that when you're cooking with dairy, it doesn't curdle and separate. And so this is my version of lemon myrtle panna cotta, and I've paired it with a lemon myrtle syrup and garnished it with some tiny sunrise citrus, the finger lime cross. You can preserve the leaves by drying them. Just use a paper bag or a cloth bag and hang them somewhere dry. And they make really good tea as a dried leaf. Also, you can grind them down and use them as a powder in other forms of cooking. Someone asked me, do you treat these like a bay leaf and remove them from the cooking? And yes, these older leathery ones might need to be removed, and so you just infuse and then strain out the leaves. These very fresh young leaves will break down, and if they're dried, you definitely need to remove them as well. The greatest joys to me is seeing native birds and lizards and frogs and creatures in my garden. So I'm always trying to grow Indigenous species to try and tip that balance towards them. So for me, it is one of those extra amazing things to have an edible, useful plant and play with its flavours, and to also have the broader benefits of a plant that brings a lot to the garden. And so I'll leave you with some lemon myrtle art. 93-year-old artist Joyce and I looking at the beauty of this plant in a different way through art. Thanks for watching, thanks for all the subscriptions, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye.